The Future of Web3, the saga continues, a basic overview for beginners. So welcome. Please type in the chat where you're joining from. Just put your location. It could be like your state, city, country, whichever one you prefer, but just, add that to the chat. Take a couple seconds to go ahead and type that in, and then we'll move on. So, time. So I am Courage Kimber. I'm a Web3 strategist and consultant, so I have a background in working with Web3 content creation. I provide education and training in the blockchain space, as well as growth marketing and consulting services for Web3 companies. So my top two achievements at the moment are becoming a full-time digital nomad. So currently I am based in Paris, and I am getting started. Well, also the other one is getting started in Web3 back in 2018. I think, making the decision to actually start, get into Web3 was, one of those things that I feel like it really, really did change my life. I think it was an important step. And, for the last, I would say 2 years, I've really, gotten more involved and heavily into this space. So let's talk about what Web3 is and what it is not. So I'll start with what it's not. So Web3 it's not about shilling projects in terms of pumping up projects and selling tokens. It's not about selling expensive JPEGs. What it's really about, it's about the decentralization of power and giving you control, the individual control, particularly when it comes to your data and your information. I think that's something that gets lost in like the hype about crypto and blockchain and the technology. It's really about decentralization of power. And I think it's really important to understand kind of what Web3 is. And here is sort of my breakdown. So what is Web3? So Web3 is the third iteration of the internet. The term actually came from one of the co-founders of Ethereum, Gavin Wood. Some of the characteristics of Web3 are, of course, decentralization, autonomy, privacy, security. Also, in order to provide like more context, I think it's important to understand what Web 1.0 and Web 2.0 are. So Web 1.0 is basically the early version of the internet. So when you had like basic static websites, before you had, the more advanced features that you see today, but just static website where you have like maybe a visitor counter, just hyperlinks on the website, or even splash pages. Web 2.0 is when you have the introduction of more dynamic web pages and with more advanced like navigation and sharper images, just more more in terms of usability and navigation in particular. And also, Web 2.0 represents a more centralized version of the internet, where typically more of a small group of companies kind of control the web. In terms of, I guess the best way to think about it is think of, giant software tech companies like Facebook and Google, and how they kind of are in control of a lot of our own personal information data. So that they have a lot of power and control in terms of what's on the internet. Think about Google. Google is a search engine, and basically everything that you can find in the information is based upon how they choose to index that information. So yeah, like I said, Web 2.0 is more of a centralized version. Of course, Web 3.0 is the decentralized version of the internet. And let's kind of get into more of the meat and potatoes of this presentation. So let's talk about the world of Web3. So the world of Web3, I've broken it down to blockchain, crypto, NFTs, smart contracts, metaverse, and DAOs. So I think a good way to look at it, particularly if you're new to Web3 and the space, is in terms of the world of Web3, blockchain is like the soil or the foundation. It's what allows all these other things to grow, to exist. So blockchain, think of that as the foundation, which allows all this facilitates all these other things listed below. Blockchains. So crypto, I look at crypto as like the currency of Web3. So it's a great way to think of it as like the actual currency, how currency you use to buy and sell things in the Web3 space. NFTs, I look at that more like content. So NFTs can be audio. They could be, images and like images like JPEG files or different types of um, images, or also they can represent real world assets or RWAs as well. Um, So also smart contracts, I think of that more so as like the execution layer or execution component of Web3. Just because when you purchase crypto or purchase an NFT, there's a smart contract that executes that allows you to actually purchase the NFT or to exchange or send the cryptocurrency. Metaverse, I think one of the good things to, I guess, perceive it, because I think some people kind of get confused with the metaverse and think like it's supposed to replace real life, but it's actually just supposed to be like an enhancement. So like a second layer or second layer to like real life. And then DAOs, I think DAOs, which stands for decentralized autonomous organizations. I think one of the big parts of the DAO is just the organizational structure it creates on the blockchain, and being anonymous and be able to run these basically run a large organization where people have a say so in terms of voting and having a full-on governance structure, where I see that this could be actually the future of companies. You can have companies just running based on DAOs. Yeah, and let's actually start talking about some of the challenges that we're facing. So the growing pains in the space. One is recreating Web 2.0. This is definitely something that is a concern. Just like in terms of recreating Web 2.0, meaning we're recreating the same power structures, which caused the birth of Web 3.0. So just, I think one of the things is just, the who's in control of Web 3.0. I mean, it's supposed to be all of us, but it seems like there are people who are coming in and trying to kind of really like control and regulate the Web 3.0 space. And we want to kind of keep it more of open, decentralized, community focused, and just some of the things actually relate to kind of the items listed below in terms of recreating the structures, the power structures. So number 2 is like mass adoption of Web3. So this is a challenge just because there's so many people who don't know or understand how Web3 or the components of Web3 work. And we're still, kind of in the infancy phase in terms of adoption. And a part of that is actually relates to number 3, which is education. There are a lot of people who don't understand how Web3 works, and it kind of is a block for some people in terms of getting involved in the Web3 space, whether it's community or, owning cryptocurrency, those sorts of things, or collecting NFTs. They just don't have enough knowledge about the space, so it's kind of maybe might be overwhelming for them. Also, number 4, which relates to number one. So diversity. So this is a challenge in the space right now because there needs to be diversity of thought, diversity in terms of gender, diversity in terms of race. So getting more people of um, of diverse backgrounds involved in the space is really critical to the um, growth of the space, and also I think just envision um, in terms of you know how Web3 is supposed to be in terms of it being an open space, for anyone to get involved. Let's talk about the future of Web3. So, what's next for Web3? Um, so, the most important thing I believe, in terms of the future of Web3 is building it. So, got to build the dream. So, the future of Web3 is now. So, we're actually creating it in this moment. So, what we have, we have to build it. So I think the next big thing in terms of Web3 could be something that's created by somebody who just might be entering the space, or somebody who's watching this presentation right now. Could be you. So I think a lot of times people think that they're late. You're not late. You're right on time. So um, just go out there and create and test and build and try something new. You never know what you might create. So yeah, go out there. I think one of the other important things to do is to join the Web3 community. So join a community. Um, Join wherever you feel comfortable. So I would say, if you're wondering how, go on Discord and find groups, Telegram, Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces. Those are kind of some of the top places. Um, yeah, I mean, there's also other, so there's Facebook groups, also Reddit as well. Reddit is a great space to learn about, Web3, fun community. And my predictions for the Web3 space. So, the global community will basically shape the future of Web3. There will always be, attempts to regulate and control by central authorities, probably claiming consumer protection. But Web3 is, I compare it like the ocean. Web3, it cannot be contained or stopped, Um, and then industries that I think are going to really benefit from Web3 and really explode are identity management, of course, music, healthcare, and finance will see exponential usage and adoption of Web3 technology. Yeah, and that brings me to conclusion of the future of Web3. Want you to stay in touch. Let's stay connected on the internet webs. So LinkedIn, I'm on there. TikTok at Courage Kimber. My emails, courage@knowbeforeyoucrypto.com. So it's no, like the word no, B4, letter B4, youcrypto.com. And thank you so much for joining this presentation today. I hope you share what you learned today and go out and create something awesome. Take care.